Are you talking to me? I can't.
How about now?
I can hear you now. Hello.
Okay.
Well,
You
I
were
heard you at the
frozen in
beginning,
time
and then
there.
I didn't hear you. It was very strange. It's
I must have remuted myself. How's everybody doing today?
simply hello. Greetings. Sorry for the mix-up. Misunderstanding on my part. Thought we were starting during our normally weekly time. That's not what Xeno meant. But we got there in the end. Only an hour off. Hello, Looney. That's right. Christy. Wander. Hello. Remy's giving us strawberries today.
Strawberries. Ooh.
Do like
That
me some
sounds delicious.
strawberries. It does sound delicious. Got my coffee ready. Got yours?
No.
Here, both of you.
No, I'm still running around. I was so late. I didn't have time for coffee.
It's okay. I like the part where you guys read books and we talk about it. That's my favorite part too. My glasses are dirty. Let me clean them. Oh, I don't have any. Man, use my t-shirt.
Weekly time is an hour earlier.
I'm in a weird time zone, so
And he's in a weird
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Like he's 3.5 hours ahead, so it's super weird. Even me can like, cause I was like 10 o'clock. I said the time specifically, but that doesn't mean anything because he's in a different time zone.
No, it doesn't, because I assume that we start normally during the week at 10 your time. So I'm like, oh, it's 12:30 my time. No, it's 1:30. So I need to just stay on Central Time. It'll make my life so much easier.
I do. The coffee is
'cause it's only
right
an hour
there.
ahead.
I just need to grab a cup.
My coffee. Usually weekly time. No, it's not. We've been playing
Best
around with the time
time
too.
Yeah, you and Hacker.
Turn off that heater.
Best time zone. I don't know. Mountain time. The time of the mountains. It sounds pretty cool too.
Time. Oh, the mountain. That mountain.
Don't you start with me.
Sorry, I can't help myself. I guess we should do a proper intro. Hi, my name's Mozzie.
I'm
This is
Xeno.
my lovely co-host. Yeah, this is a weekly series that we talk about books that we've read, or at least the 5 chapters that we read. Today's a special episode. We're doing 6 chapters, and it's it's us finishing up Stormfront, the first book in the Jim Butcher's Dresden Files series. I don't actually remember the name of the second book. I have to look it up. Anyway, we're gonna dive into that one next week. How excited were you to dive into these last 7 chapters?
Pretty excited, I'd say, because everything has been building this beautiful painting, you know. But we have the outer edges of the painting. We do not have the middle, so we wanted the mystery and everything to wrap up, and hopefully Harry would not end up dead.
Yeah, we have like the build up to the boss fight, and the wrap up to look forward to. We had a lot. And yeah, it's true. We don't want Harry to die. Because who knows? Maybe the other, oogles of books weren't Foul Moon yet. Oogles of books are about a completely different character, and Harry dies in this one. We didn't know. We had suspicions, but we didn't know. Where did we leave off last? Let's see. Oh yeah, Monica's house. To talk to
Cliffhanger.
Monica. Yeah,
She was
Quite a
about
big
ready to
cliffhanger.
just spill the beans.
tried to zap him. Taser.
Yeah, she gave him the old zip zap.
And it didn't go in her favor because technology and wizards don't really mix well. So, joke's on her. This chapter was really sad, actually. She eventually, in the last chapter, agrees to talk to him. They sit down. I'm gonna summarize this, and it might be pretty general. She just sounded like the typical spouse that was being abused and used, and like, no, but it's okay, like, he's a good man, and In this
Like,
case,
yeah.
it's her talking about her husband, but in any scenario, vice versa or whatnot,
But he
she was just
totally
in
still
full
loves me.
denial. Yeah, it's not all bad. It's like, none of it should be bad. But and then she said that she thought the kids would help stabilize him. Terrible reason to have kids. The worst reason to have kids. Well, I guess the worst reason to have kids is accidentally. But anyway, well, that was an accident, so I digress.
Me too.
Yeah, let's go. And then he started to get worse. She said that I think she and at the very beginning we figure out that Monica is Jennifer's sister, and that's why Dresden recognizes them. Glad you're both here. Me too. Hey, Wander's an accident too. Let's go. Accident babies, we're the best. Yeah, so they're sisters, and apparently they came from a household that was well off, and Monica suspects that her husband initially wanted to get money, i.e. power, to provide her with the life she was accustomed to, or that may have just been her trying to rationalize it. But then she said he started to get worse and worse, and the hunger for wealth turned into hunger for power, and then it just kind of spiraled out of that. And then that's when the 3-eye drug came into play. She didn't say how he made it or anything about it. She just said that. Well, okay, actually she did. She said that Victor, or it's her husband's name, tricked her, not really tricked her, but forced her into trying it, not knowing what it was. And she explained it so much like a drug. As someone who's not addicted to drugs or really hasn't done any drugs, it painted a really scary picture. It was not a good experience, but it left her craving more. It immediately got an addiction, which is pretty scary. The other scary part is when Victor saw Monica being influenced or under the influence of the drug, he just looked into her eyes and laughed at her. I'm not really sure what to take from that.
I just see a bad person. He sees
Yeah.
it working the way that he intended it. It's a drug, it's addictive. She wanted more, and he just is he's just, I don't know, on that opposite side of a normal person, like the way that we would see things, be like, oh my goodness, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And he's having a good time with it.
Yeah, I guess so. It kind of shocked me at how despicable it was. And then she said that's when Victor realized that he could touch other people's emotions, and I guess that's when the real bad stuff started. But with the drug, he didn't have the funds. I guess money was the big thing, to take it to the next level production wise. And that's when he found the Becketts, and he convinced the Becketts to fund him and to support him because their daughter, I don't remember the daughter's name, but their daughter was killed in a gang shootout with Johnny Marcone. So they blamed Johnny Marcone, and he fed off of that want for vengeance.
Yeah, that do a lot of stuff.
Yes, a lot of stuff. A lot of weird stuff. Oh, that's right. And he did take. I wrote this down, and for a second I was like, I don't understand what this means. It's a quote from the book. Monica says he said he needed our lust. Yeah, apparently he convinced Monica to also join the wild
this guy
magic
must
orgies.
Be really
Really messed up.
convincing. because he's like, all
well,
right, he's
yeah.
got his wife, and then he's got the Beckett's, and then he's like, hey, your sister, let's get your sister, you know, like all this stuff, like, woof.
Well, he's got that drug, and we just saw how like addicting it is. So maybe that came into play, but it may have been his charisma. It's hard to say.
That's a good thought. I didn't think about that. Yeah, he could have been using the drug as some sort of method of control.
Yeah, that's what I
I
was
mean,
thinking.
that's what people do in those situations.
Yeah, I would assume you'd have to have some sort of charisma to help with that. Sounds like Hollywood. Charming.
Yeah, he had like a 20 in
right?
charisma. Maybe.
Exactly. He had like 20 plus for sure. And then she said things got better for a little while. As long as I didn't think so much is what she said. Like, so they were better, but it wasn't better. It was better on the outside, much like the house. Like on the outside of their house, it looks like a house, but the neighborhood looks like doom and gloom, no birds and all that. I kind of feel like it's the same way. From the outside, it looked fine, but it's still this dude doing black magic and making drugs. Then she started to fear for her children, and that's when it really took Monica past the point of like not being able to ignore it. She's like, no, I'm fearing for my children. I can't let my children get too close to him. So she talked to Jenny, her sister, and that's when Jenny confronted him, and that's when he used the spell to kill Jenny and Tommy Tom.
The chest popper.
the
So I guess
chest
Tommy
popper.
Tom just happened to be there, you know, doing their doodly thing. I mean, it just happened to kill both of them because they were connected. It sounded like.
Maybe, or that was just the cherry on top for the Beckett's, because he was
maybe,
one of
yeah,
Johnny
he
Barcone's.
was, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm not sure. It could have been either. I don't remember if they said either way, but it may have been both. And then that was kind of the end of the conversation. She just kind of she started to trail off, not being able to talk like about it, and Dresden started like filling in the details. It's just like I don't think she said Victor killed Jenny, but Harry did. He's, what did your husband do? Did he kill? And then she just kind of like accepted it. And at that point, he was furious. Like he tried. I think he said something like he wanted to comfort her, but he couldn't because he was so angry that someone could do this to his family that he was just filled with rage. So he left. He went to leave, and then he ran into Jenny, Monica's daughter, and had a little exchange with her, which I thought was very short, but it was so powerful. Even just like so in the book it says Jenny Sells stood in the hallway, a silent wraith. Just that little part, that a silent wraith, paints such a haunting picture of just this little girl who's just seen way too much for her age. And then she asks him, are you a wizard? Kind of solidifying that. It's like, well, how would a kid like even know that? But makes you wonder too, maybe Victor had his kids try the drug too. Because well, maybe not the son. The son didn't seem like, when Harry saw Jenny and what's the son's name? I always forget. Billy, yeah. Billy. He said that the daughter, Jenny, had eyes that were much older than her age. But he didn't say anything about Billy. So maybe, I don't know, maybe some weird stuff going on there. We know there was abuse, but there may have been drugs involved. Either way, she asks, are you a wizard? And he says yes. And she kind of contemplates it and is like, I know he's my dad, but I know he's bad. And then she asks, are you going to like stop him? Or no, sorry, she asked, are you going to help my mother? And he kind of ponders it and is like, I'm going to do everything I can. She makes him promise, and he does. So that whole exchange was very, I feel like it was the icing on the cake, because we saw so much sadness with Monica, and then this on top of it was just like, okay, Victor needs to go down. Oh, and then she says, I hope as he's walking out, I hope you're one of the good guys, Mr. Dresden. We really need a good guy. I hope you'll be all right. It's just like, wow. What's up, Snow? How's it going?
Yeah, it sounds like she already knew that her dad was not a good guy, obviously.
Yeah.
And it just that's terrible. That's just pretty yucky situation.
I feel like she knew what was going to happen. She knows Dresden's out to get her. Such a zinger to the heart, it really was. Chrissy also said the Becketts would appreciate our Markon losing something. Yeah. I assume that's how he persuaded them to do it. Well, further persuaded them to do it. Because that was the first time they killed someone with a spell. And that's a pretty... Making drugs to killing someone is kind of a big leap, morally. I don't know. Beckett seem like they're so far gone. I don't think there would have been much pushing in that direction, but hard to say.
Yeah.
Then Dresden has like this whole like inner struggle of what to do next. Like what to do next, what can he use in terms of like tools to his arsenal. Who can help him, if anyone can help him, and ultimately comes up with he's alone. No one else can help him. He's got to do this by himself. And then he's like thinking about the hair and like how Victor has his hair and he's in big trouble. And then he realizes that he does have something from Victor, and it's the scorpion like pendant medallion thing that's in his office. So he calls Murphy first to see if she can help in any way, even though they really aren't on speaking terms. And what's his name? Murphy's partner. What's his name? Carmichael?
Carmichael, yep.
Carmichael. Carmichael answers, and he finds out that Murphy's at his office. So he calls his office, and Murphy answers, and he's like, "No, don't look at the desk." And she eventually does, and the scorpion is no longer a pendant; it's a scorpion, and it's, well, we suspect. She doesn't say. She just screams, and we kind of know, like, oh, something bad's happening. I think at this point he still is just riding around in that taxi, and he just hops in, throws money at the dude, and is like, "Drive."
Yeah.
And then he speeds over to his office. What were your final thoughts about this chapter? I mean, it like you said earlier, we ended it on a cliffhanger. Do you feel like this fulfilled that cliffhanger that we were waiting for, or the details we wanted from Monica?
She spilled the beans. She gave all the gritty details, not like down to the T, but gave us enough that okay, we got our bad guy, we got our situation here, we know what's pretty much happened, so we're good to go. But then of course we get that twist where he's like, "Oh, I got that pendant," which stroke of luck. But then at the same time, Murphy, still not happy, is over there checking out his place, and happens to get in the line of fire now. So yeah.
Christy says when he meets Linda, he mentions that the Beckett's eyes are dead, specifically the mother. That she was it looked like she was dead and just didn't know it yet, I think is what he said specifically. But for sure, they were, I mean, losing a child like that, I can't imagine, but I would assume that they have gone through hell. Well, I mean, that's the only reason I can think of someone to agree to do stuff like this. But so he races back to his office. His office is ajar. This was a very, very small part. When he opens the door, he talks about pamphlets that are in the front of his office, and he names two of them, and they just kind of tickled me so I wrote them down. There's I think there's a number of them, but the two he reads off was Real Witches Don't Float So Good and Magic in the 21st Century. And those are they were so fun. I was like, yes, I love this. I love the fact that he just told us about these pointless pamphlets that are in front of his office with the title. Go ahead.
He said he wrote most of them too.
He did. I thought it was so funny, especially the float one. I just thought that was tickling. But he walks in. He sees Murphy curled up on her side behind his desk. He inspects her, well, he looks in the drawer. I think the pendant's not there. He kind of inspects her, finds out she's been poisoned, but she's still conscious. At this point, Murphy is so stubborn. It's partly what I love about her, but she's so stubborn. And she clicks the handcuffs on him. She's like, I got you. You're not going anywhere, Dresden. Oh, I forgot about that, Christy. He said, she says when the mailman came in, he looked at them and just laughed in the first chapter. I forgot about that. That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are great. He didn't say the names of any of them, though, right? In the first chapter? We only got them now towards like the very end of the book. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering it.
No, I think you're right, but I could be wrong.
But yeah, she handcuffs him. And at that point, the scorpion exploded towards him in like a blur of motion from underneath his desk to attack him. And apparently now it's the size of a terrier. Or well, yeah, because it was a pendant before, so it's the size of a terrier attacking him. And it's just like, go ahead.
He said it waited for him to put away, like he put down his staff because he's like, oh, we're looking around. Where is it? Okay, I don't see any danger. Puts his staff, his blasting rod down. And that's when it attacks.
It waited until he was vulnerable, yeah, which kind of like alludes to some sort of sentientness to it, or an intelligence to it. He didn't name him in the first chapter, just refer to him. Okay, that's what I thought, yeah. But
I kind of had an assumption like maybe Victor was controlling it directly, but it doesn't seem like that's the case later. So
yeah, in the moment, I could totally see that, yeah. But no, yeah.
Later, that one seemed a lot smarter than.
Maybe it was different.
The other ones, you know.
Maybe it was different. Maybe he was controlling that one. It's hard to say because he does. Harry refers to it or describes it. It's not a creature. It's like a robot. It's like a golem. It's programmed to do something. So maybe that, and somehow increases intelligence. I'm not sure.
Then loop. Oof. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Some sort of programming with like if then.
That's true.
That would make sense. Let's see.
I don't know. That just gives Victor too much credit in my eyes. That I'm like, nah, he couldn't do that.
He maybe didn't make them. Maybe he found because later. Well, we'll get to that later. It may be something different.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to give any spoilers away. Oh yeah, then like the scorpion like attacked at Harry, and the venom or poison, which we assumed, started burning away at his clothes. I was like, oh shit, this is serious stuff. But at that point, Murphy's just like gone. She's like, I can't see like what's going on, and he said for the amount of venom that it would have put in her body and her small frame, she needed medical attention immediately. And he did call 911. He may have called 911 before the scorpion attacked him. Maybe it waited for like that vulnerable moment. I don't remember that part. But he does call 911, and he is dodging the spider while trying to carry Murphy out, and they get out in the hallway, and I think he said he's on the 5th floor or something like that. He's on an upper floor, so he can't take the stairs with her while carrying her. So he chances the elevator, even though he says he absolutely hates the elevator.
Scorpion.
Oh, I'm getting all over the place. He uses his shield bracelet to defend himself like a little bit from the scorpion. I guess just kind of as a reminder, like, hey, he has this defensive bracelet, and a little bit more of how it works. And then he sees the scorpion's growing. It's getting larger. And then they make their way out into the hallway. They get into the elevator, and just make it out barely. And then they're riding the spider, maybe spider.
You said spider at one point.
Did I?
Scorpion,
I'm sorry.
But of course,
I meant scorpion.
it's fine.
I meant scorpion.
So he ends up, the spider Yeah, they get out in the hall, and before the elevator, the scorpion bursts out through the bottom of the door and charges at him, and he uses the shield bracelet to defend himself there. Bounces him off, and then he's able to get into the elevator just in time for the scorpion to rebound and hit the door, and then start going down.
Yeah, and just when they think they're safe, he hears something heavy falling on the top of the elevator, and it starts just like tearing it apart like a can, just ripping through with his
that
pincers.
thing's got to be so strong.
Really strong, yeah.
And they get stuck in the elevator because, so they get close to the second floor before the elevator just gives out due to wizardiness.
Yep.
And even I love that
How dare you,
the
Christy.
emergency light goes on, and it's like bing, and then pop.
Yeah. Yep. It's like, no, it's gone. And then in a moment of brilliance and panic, he's talking about like what magic he can use. I guess the most basic form of magic, according to what he said, is fire. And he's like, well, that's not going to help me. That's going to kill all of us. And then he thinks, oh, air. And then he focuses his magic in the air below the elevator and causes it to rocket up, thinking to smash the scorpion in the ceiling. A couple things about this. One, he says as they're rocketing upwards, I hadn't meant for there to be quite that much wind. I thought, I prayed that I hadn't just killed us both. A lot of the magic spells and like interactions that we see throughout the book, it kind of reinforces what Harry Dresden said about magic at the very beginning, that it's fueled by emotion. And there's so much emotion going on, like fear, adrenaline, going through his body right now. And he does say that he's a practiced wizard, and he's trained quite a few times throughout the book. But even him, like with all of this adrenaline and emotions pumping through, overdoes it sometimes like this.
And he doesn't have any of his focuses.
Right, because he did say the blasting rod was quite useful in focusing, and that's why he uses it so much. I like Will Fireball is nearly consideration. Yeah, right? Exactly. Hey, what's up, Wacky? Hey, Noodle. What's up, dude?
Noodle.
How's it going, dudes?
No.
How's it going, dudes?
You're making me so coffee hungry.
I know, right? Then the other thing is, this building is 12 stories, and they're rocketing so fast. It kind of reminds me of this is a terrible comparison, but it reminds me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, when the elevator is just skyrocketing up towards the top. Kind of like that, but instead of a glass top, it is a standard roof, and that scorpion goes squish, and there is smelly goop everywhere. And apparently it is quite rank. And then the opposite happens. They start rocketing back to Earth. And unlike in urban myths, you cannot jump at the very end and save yourself. So he does some quick thinking again and uses his defensive shield bracelet to not fully shield them, because if he fully shield them, like he says in the book, they would just hit the shield and the same effect would happen. They would go splat. So he like adjusts it, and he says it feels like they're like they have packing peanuts, like magical packing peanuts around them. I thought that was pretty cool.
Makes me think of like the egg drop in school when you're a kid, right?
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
Just like the perfect amount of puff, so it's just like boop, ah.
Yeah, that perfect cushion at terminal velocity. It works. It absolutely destroys the bracelet. He says it's like fried. But he is so excited. Oh, also, I thought it was just an awesome like cherry on top when the elevator smashed into the bottom, and it still made the ding, like the very sad, distressed ding as the doors open, and there's just two EMTs with their jaw, I think he said with their jaws by their knees, just stunned, looking at Harry Murphy laying in this puddle of goop and scorpion parts. And Harry's just laughing maniacally because they're not dead. And he said he still was laughing even when the EMTs gathered him up and helped Murphy towards the ambulance.
Yeah,
And they like looked at you. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm the best. Screw you, Shadow Man. And the EMTs are just like, we're gonna sedate this guy. Very smelly goo, exactly. Polymorph into a squirrel. I don't think he had that spell prepared, Remy. He should have though. Really should have. He's so considerate. He really is. And that concludes that chapter pretty much. I think they start looking over their injuries after this, because starting chapter 23, they're at the ambulance. They're looking over Murphy. Dresden he didn't get tail spiked, by the way. Just a little bit about me. Yeah. He got clawed, yeah, in the leg, and he was bleeding pretty bad. Oh, he was bleeding, but he wasn't bleeding. It
sounded like it was bad, but yeah, because it's like 6 inches, which is that's a lot. Really good gash, but it's not like he's not juicing everywhere. It didn't hit an artery or anything. So.
It's in the thigh. There's a lot of meat there. It'll do damage, but yeah, like you said, if it doesn't hit an artery, it's manageable. Painful, but manageable. But yeah, then he has to do some quick thinking and figure out how to get out of here, because the cops are on the way. The firefighters are on the way, but he's more concerned about the cops. And the storm is coming in because it's already raining outside. He said it's not moving quickly, so he has time. So he does some our thighs. Yeah, exactly. He hates himself like the whole time he's doing this. He said, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. He manages to slip the handcuffs off of Murphy because he's too big and he won't be able to thank you, Looney, appreciate it. No, I won't be doing a bean right now. I'll do it at the end if you like, but I don't want to interrupt because I will forget everything I'm talking about. But thank you, dude. He's able to slip off the cuffs from Murphy and kind of hide it enough so the EMT doesn't see it. And as both of them are focusing on Murphy, he just like slips away and walks out. And he says, "I hate myself with every step." Because he wants to stay and see how Murphy does and make sure she's okay, because she was not doing good. She was breathing, but she wasn't moving, and she was like twitching. I think he said twitching randomly, like her convulsing. Which I'm not a medical professional, but when it comes to poison and things like that, that's a pretty bad sign, I think. Sorry to say, on a personal note, after the stinger thing.
You did.
Oh, you are an absolute
I don't remember. See, this is what happens. I get sidetracked.
No, you're good.
I don't know. Go ahead.
And yeah, in that, because Dresden was able to explain that she'd been poisoned by brown scorpion venom. She'll need that, and the EMT's like, "I know my job, man. Don't I got the tourniquet, blah blah blah." So at least he was able to get the information out. But yeah, then he's got to walk away because his heart's about to explode out of his chest.
Yeah, exactly.
And the storm's already technically coming up above him, but he remembers that the house that they have is out a little further.
It's about
so
45 minutes away.
Get the storm yet, so yeah, so
it's at the lake house, yeah. So he's got time, but he doesn't have his blue bug. The taxi is gone at this point, and even I don't think the taxi would I don't think that would be a really good option anyway. So he's trying to figure out where he's gonna go, and he decides to go to
still can't get his staff or his blasting rod out of the office, so he's got no focus. He's just gotta go, and then his shield's bracelet's gone. Yeah, so he's got the pendant from his mom.
That's right. That's the only thing. That's right. So he decides to go to the pub. What was the pub's name? I didn't write it down. Go to Max Pub.
Max, yeah, Max Pub. Something.
McAlley's? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
I forgot the name. Yeah, still in his sweats and cowboy boots the whole time. He's been in that getup for...
Since Friday. He doesn't say how many days it's been, but...
Yeah, I think this is Saturday night? No, Sunday morning?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's not Monday, because Monday is when the White Council is having the meeting. So this has to be Sunday.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Christy. Yeah, you can. And he goes there. It's actually packed this time. He said all the stools were taken up. He said there was chessboards on every table. When he walked in, the room went silent. Saw him. They're all, and he said like they're all like kind of walks of life from the magical world. They were either people who don't have a lot of power but like know about it. There were all sorts. People trying to hide their power. There were this, that, and the other, and they all knew what was kind of going on, and knew about the White Council and Harry Dresden, and he said that they all were here to seek shelter, not from the storm. So it was like, oh, they know something's going down and they don't want any part of it. But Max just like just nods. He's there, what's going on. Dresden's like,
he just keeps
I need your
cleaning.
keys. Yeah, he doesn't hesitate, just keeps cleaning that glass. And Dresden's like, I need your keys. And Max just tosses him the keys, like, yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I love Max.
Oh, so do I. He's amazing. And then he glances, he just like does his grunt of acknowledgement, glances up at Harry, and then behind him. And then Harry turns and there's Morgan. And it's just like, great. Thank you, Morgan. Perfect timing. And Morgan's like, I'm not gonna let you kill anyone. Sit down. And Harry's like, okay, I'm defeated. Just kind of slouches over. And then takes a bar stool and just absolutely dumpsters him. He just flattens Morgan out. Mostly, I think, because, he wasn't ready for it. He caught him off guard. And I love how he's like, yeah, in the movies, you see the bar stools, like, explode into splinters and stuff. Not in real life, not these heavy bar stools, and just knocks him flat out. Get wrecked, exactly. You have one of their pub shirts? That's awesome.
That's amazing.
That's really cool. And then Max just like picks up whole time. Everyone in the bar is just like, oh,
holy,
because they all know who he is. They know he's a warden, and you don't mess with a warden. But Max just like, drop the car keys, and he just leaves. It's like
he's like White Council's not gonna be happy.
Yeah, right. Let me worry about them. It's such a cool interaction, especially from someone who doesn't like talk at all. Before this point, I think he said maybe 6 words. That was so cool. Yeah. It was fun to see. That's the end of that chapter. That was fun to see the other side of the bar, because the first time we went there, it was just empty. We got to see like the quiet, like, I don't want to say stereotypical bar, but the quiet bar where I think there's like 2 people in the corner just like drunk or something. And then the packed bar with everyone from almost like the hidden underground magical world of the city. It's like a community within the city. That was really cool to see. I would like to see more of it personally. I want to see all of the nitty-gritty magic stuff that goes on, like underneath this, goes on in the city, but underneath the city, if that makes sense. Because we got this taste of it, and I want more. But I love it, and this comes up later too. I love the fact that Harry is just like, I'm a wizard, but I punched him in the face. I'm a wizard, and I have a revolver. It's just like, the answer's not always magic. Sometimes it's just you got to deck a dude or something. It's great.
And he brings that up later.
Yes, he does. Yep. Some of them think that Harry is the one to. That's true, yeah. Because of Morgan and probably other people in the White Council too. Some of those people probably think that Harry is the killer. And this doesn't really help because it's like, no, I don't have time for this. Someone else is doing it. And then he just storms out and people are like, oh, great, he's going to go kill someone. But they're not going to do anything about it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so good. That was a pretty short chapter too, but it was so impactful. And I think that's one of the things I really like about Jim Butcher's writing style is like there's little things that if you miss, you won't miss the overall of what's happening, but it adds a lot of extra meaning and a lot of extra flavor. Like the pamphlets. You didn't have to tell us the pamphlets' names, but it gave a little bit more mind candy, I guess. And a little bit more
like
we can go ahead.
He's alluding to more things that we're gonna probably see later in the other books. Like,
oh,
right?
yeah.
So many things that are probably just like, oh, finally.
I was going to bring up something else, but I think we haven't gotten to it yet because that's a very good point. And he does it with one thing in particular that I really, really want to learn more about. And I think we're getting into it here soon, but so I'll just continue. So in the next chapter, we have Harry, speedster, driving. I don't remember what kind of car was it. It was a Trans Am or something? Either way.
Yeah, like 89, and it has like it's an 8-cylinder, so it's
an
fast
8-cylinder,
car.
Yeah. And he said the speedometer does 130, but there were areas that I was going way over that, and I was like, Jesus,
crazy. Yeah.
And he says it's fast.
Fastest I've ever driven is probably 125, and that is too fast.
I think the fastest I've driven is 110, maybe. Yeah, that's fast. It's really fast. Unless you're a speed racer or NASCAR driver, I guess. But anyway, he's racing against the storm, and he won. But he makes it to the lake house. I'm shortening this a lot. There's a lot more in the driving where it's just like, thank God there wasn't police officers. Thank God it wasn't rush hour any other day. But either way, he makes it to the lake house in time with the storm behind him, and he's kind of strategizing, I guess would be the best way to put it, like how to go in the house. He needs to be careful, like there might be traps, there might be I think he said like guardians in waiting or something like that, like there might be some
more spells that he's alluding to, like tripwires and things like that, and guardians. And
and then he's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be careful, I have to do this. And he opens his third eye, which is awesome. These next couple pages were so cool. This place, so he said on the outside, the house looked, well, he said at the very beginning, it's hard to describe what you see using a third eye, or what wizards see using a third eye. So he kind of builds up this anticipation. Oh, Chrissy said it's a white 89 Trans Am. Okay, yep. He said he could get used to the speed car. If he had a golem. Yeah, golem, right, exactly. His wife, there is a huge potential having more things like that. Yeah, exactly. So he opens his eyes, or his third eye, and he sees the house, but then he sees so much more. He sees like these weird creatures like feeding off of the dark energy that's around the house. He sees dark emotions like greed, lust, and hatred. He says he can smell the fish in the lake and the earthiness, and like it's not just his sight, like all of his senses are heightened. Excuse me. Then he saw other things, like the other thing that I saw over the house was a grinning empty skull. Skulls everywhere. Death lay in this house's future, tangle, solid, and unavoidable. And he also saw like the house in this, like, what I pictured was more of like ghost fire, like the black greenish like necromantic fire, that kind of fire just engulfing the house. And he also said that like it was part of its future, and I was like, that's interesting. And death was its future.
Yes.
Like, and which is interesting because like death is going to happen either way, whether or not Harry does nothing. Harry will die because they'll cast a spell. or it kind of alludes to him coming in and killing Victor. So we're not really sure. Like, it's just a bunch of death. Then we see a little bit of Harry's darker side. It kind of made me think of Death Eaters, Mark, and Harry Potter. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Before I want to get your opinion on the whole experience of him opening his third eye. What did you think of that? What stood out to you?
One thing that really stood out that I really liked was the fact, like, he could see before he got into like the death stuff. You kind of see like with the wood and where it was from, and like the glass and it like the sandy beach where it came from, kind of thing. Like that kind of crazy depth when you open up the third eye is like you can see like just about anything that it sounds like, which could be disturbing, of course. And then another detail that I really liked was when he's seeing all the death, like he couldn't get rid of the skulls. Like I imagine kind of like his peripherals had like, you know, skulls, so anytime he tried to turn his head, it was just more skulls, kind of like
wherever
just
he
death.
looked.
Didn't matter where he looked.
Okay,
he couldn't get it away from him.
that makes sense. I never thought of that, but that totally makes sense. It was a really awesome experience, and I think Jim Butcher described it amazingly. Harry also said it's something that he'll never forget. He'll never unsee it, which is also really powerful. I lost my place. Where was it? And then we see a little darker side of Harry, and like his kind of want for power, or the dark power, greed, like that whole desire sucking him in. Because he said there was power you had to thrust power that he had to thrust aside before in the past. I had thrown away the only family I had ever known to turn away power exactly like this. This was the sort of strength that could reach out and change the world to my will. Immediately I thought of whatever happened with his family and him being like
his master.
I was gonna say his master. I was gonna say him being blacklisted, but not him being the doom being placed on him for whatever killing of his master and however that happened. And like you said, this is what I was waiting for. Like you said earlier, when Jim Butcher alludes to things that you want to know more about, this was one of them. I was just, and we know we're going to learn more about. This is one of them, about his master and his past. He keeps dropping these little nuggets, and it's just like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. I want more. Which we do get a little bit more, because he did say, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Never mind. We get another piece of candy in a little bit. We'll get to it. I'm rushing for the dessert, but I need to stay with the entree first.
It's too good. It's too good.
It really
like
is.
Because that dark power that's over it, he could just basically just explode the whole house.
Yeah.
And just be done with it. But
Yep. I was just about to say, he said I could kill the Sandman. I also love the fact that he calls him Victor Sandman. Or sorry, Victor. I said Sandman. Sorry, Shadow Man. He calls him Victor Shadow Man, not Victor Sells. Because Sells is his last name. But at this point, he's changed as a person so much that he's not Victor Sells anymore. He's Victor Shadow Man, which I thought was cool. I thought it was interesting. But he said I could kill the Shadow Man. Now, before he even knew I was here, I'm paraphrasing, I could reach out and embrace the dark energy he had gathered in this place. I could call down a firestorm. And it's just like, yeah, I could absolutely nuke this house. And it feels like Harry really wants to a little bit. Like he wants to embrace this.
That's an easy way to solve the problem.
Yeah. I mean, mixture of he wants to kill you. What Victor has done to his family is just despicable. And he's caused the killings of Jennifer, Linda, and Tommy. It's just like, this guy doesn't deserve a chance. I should just kill him and everything in this house. Hey, Tina. Kind of made me think of the death. Oh, I reread that again. But something stops him. the pendant from his mother, he says it burned cold on his chest, a sudden weight that made him gasp. And then he has this whole like experience that he feels a feminine hand grabbing his, and this reassurance of his faith in the pendant and what it stands for. And then, excuse me, he felt the cold strength of the order and rational geometry of the ancient symbol of white wizardry, which is the pendant. So it was kind of this whole internal battle of good and evil, essentially. But it was put so interestingly, like, without even saying it was his battle, between those two sides. You saw both sides. You saw how he was drawn to the dark side and how he was drawn to it earlier in his life, and how, we can kind of assume that it's always been there. So he tries to be a good guy and this gentleman, but he does have this dark side. And me personally, I was like, okay, this is what Marcone saw when he soul gazed with him. Like, this is why he's like, I can't change your mind. I can't buy you. Like, I see all of this. It's, which was just really cool to see. I thought it was such a cool end to the chapter.
Like, yeah, he saw like that he had been offered like pretty much whatever dark power and still turned it down. Like,
Yep. And then he said, I was not a murderer. I was not like Victor Sells. I was Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden. I was a wizard. I think I put that past tense. I think he said I am. So I may be misquoting that, but either way. Then he opened his eyes. He realized no one was holding his hand. That was just well, it makes you wonder, because like, was it because he is still in this like third eye? It does, yeah, it does.
That's what I would assume, of course. Crumb crummed us.
And we don't know if it was Harry just imagining it, or it was his mom from whatever other side that she might be on, because there's magic. Who knows?
That's her pendant, so like, I mean, the link, there's definitely a link there. I don't know.
Yeah. And that that was like really intense, and then it ended the chapter like immediately. Like, he's like, all right, I'm ready for this. I feel like it was excuse me, it was like it was almost, because like in the past he psyched himself up like, I'm a wizard, like I can do this, but he didn't do it here. Like, it actually showed him scared, vulnerable, like not confident in his magic abilities, which was almost humanizing, I guess, because in the past it's like, I'm a wizard, I could do this. It's like, yeah, you can do this. And now it's like, oh shit, can you do this? Like, this is intense. And I thought it was cool to see the difference in the different side of Dresden. What did you think about that whole interaction?
I mean, very solid kind of build up, yeah, and just kind of that still more tense, adding that tension. Like, he's not completely confident that he's gonna walk out of here necessarily.
He said a couple times like, I may die here, or something like that. And he might, like, it's that.
I mean, he's got nothing else to rely on. He doesn't have any of his tools, but he knows he's better than this guy. Like, he knows, like, this guy's got some muscle, or he said he's a muscly guy, but he doesn't have any control because he doesn't know how to really control it. So
he said like he's all bronze and no brains, or something like that. Like, he's all muscle, but he's not smart, he's not trained, he's not intelligent as I am. Hey Jay, how's it going, dude? Having a good week. Having a good weekend. Hopefully you're doing the same. Yeah, so then we go into chapter 25. I can't remember if it's the end of the previous chapter or the beginning of this chapter, but he goes, oh no, it's the beginning of this chapter. This is where he says the Victor's Lake House is a sight that will always be with him. It's an abomination. So I said that earlier, but he actually talks about it here. But either way, He said, especially the lust for wealth, lust for power, more than a physical desire. Oh, and this is where he says, muscle, not brains for Victor. See, I'm getting ahead of myself. I just need to slow
Me
down.
too. Yeah, it's fine.
It's just so intense and so good.
It's good.
I think of things, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Hey, OG, how's it going, dude? I really should turn those off. I forgot again. One of the redeems went off. Then he walks up to the door. He's like, okay, I don't see any traps here. That's cool. And then opens the door. And it just opens. It's not even locked. And Harry's just like, okay. You know what? Not even gonna question it. Not even gonna question my good luck. Which is, to me, was just like, oh, Victor's just, he's overconfident, maybe. One of two things, overconfident or he's just an idiot. Like, or both, maybe a little bit of both.
A bit of both, yeah.
It's crazy.
Because it's like, well, if you were a person that found this power, right? You found this wizarding power, and nobody else can like has any understanding of it. You just feel like you're Mr. Powerful. Then you're like, oh, I would blow people up. I can cast spells and such. So he's thinking he's like the bee's knees, but he's never seen an actual wizard. So he's so confident. He's just doesn't care, you know.
He's so used to manipulating non-magical people, humans, if you will, that I think he feels untouchable. I mean, it kind of was the same thing when he appeared to Dresden in his like shadow form, when they were getting chased by the demon, and Dresden was like, "No, bitch, get out of the way," and just slapped him, and he was like, "Oh, you wound me.
How'd you do that? Oh.
How dare you?" Yeah, I kind of felt that way. It's like, oh, he's overconfident, just a pompous prick. But then, so doors open, Harry goes in. He said like the inside looked more or less like the outside, but more concentrated, like in terms of like the skulls and the death and the greed, and all of that. But there was a lot of crates that he looked inside, and he found, I think he said like over 100 vials of 3-Eye, the drug. Oh, sorry. He could hear. What did she say?
Christy said, and if the White Council are all knowing, how do they not know this freaking Joker is doing this? Because Morgan is so blind about Harry and not willing to look at anything else. Which I think is exactly it. Morgan is super blind. He's like, I know it's you, blah blah blah. I don't need to do anything else. You're the bad guy here. So that's like the reasoning, because this guy's just he's a pompous ass, just flaunting his power, making this drug and all this stuff. And White Council, it was just, they're pretty much oblivious because Morgan's just focused on Harry.
Yeah, absolutely true. That is so true, because that's actually very obvious. I didn't think about that, because if Dresden turned on his third eye and saw all of this, like this beacon of death and dark wizardry, why wouldn't at least someone from the White Council notice? That's such a good point. I did not think about that. That changes my opinion a little bit about Morgan, actually, because he is very blind then, and just single. I mean, he kind of was anyway, but he's very single-minded.
So much after. Maybe he'll learn something from this.
Maybe. I hope so. I thought this was kind of interesting. So when Harry went inside, he could hear music playing, and he recognized it immediately. It was the same song, same CD as was playing in the Madison, where Tommy, Tom, and Jennifer died. I wasn't really sure what to make. I still am not really sure what to make of that.
It's sexy music.
It is well, okay, that's true. It is just okay, you know what? I guess if you went to two different activities and Barry White was playing at both of them, you really wouldn't question it. So, okay, that's true. I thought there was some sort of like hidden meaning, like someone here was also there, which maybe is the case. I don't know, but maybe I'm just looking too close into it.
Yeah, that's my assumption. Was it was just like the same sexy track, to get the
Okay.
mood going.
Okay, that's fair. Then Harry like kind of not complimented. He said that the spell was really complex, just based off everything he was seeing, all the elements that were going into it. And he made a comment of no wonder it was so effective, because he could hear the chanting, he could hear the noise of the activity, and everything, and like the storm and like everything.
Activity.
That's what I'm just gonna call it from now on.
Yeah.
It's an activity, YouTube. Don't worry about it. Recreational activity. And this was him like seeing it for the first time, I guess. And he was just like, wow, yeah, it's really effective. Then he found the like 100 so vials of 3i, confirming that Victor was the one making it. All of us already knew, but this confirms it. And then he found a box, or many boxes, of ingredients for the 3i, which I thought was really interesting. First one being absinthe. There's absinthe, ammonia, peyote mushrooms, alum, A-L-U-M, which was, I had to look it up. It's a compound combined of aluminum and potassium, I think. Some sort of chemical. Antifreeze, and he said a number of other things. We know that potions take 8 ingredients, and these are not obviously 8 ingredients. 1, 2, 5. Those are 5 ingredients, so we're missing 3. But anyway, he said there's other ingredients. And he just, like, looking at all of it, Dresden was like, oh,
Things out.
he's just mass producing magical poison, not potions, poison. So much for activities. Dries things out. Oh, does it? Oh, okay. I've never.
Yeah, I didn't
never heard
know
of
about that one.
Yeah. Good to know, though. And then he gets closer and closer, and Victor starts chanting louder and louder. And I thought this was interesting. We already know magic comes from emotion. And this was just kind of an interesting touch. He heard Victor chanting in some ancient language, and Harry's like, Egyptian? Babylonian? It doesn't really matter. I can understand the meaning, and the meaning is just hate and words that were meant to kill. It's like, oh, okay. So, again, just raw emotion. The picky details don't really matter. It's just the motion going into it. Then Harry made his grand entrance with his wind spell as he catapulted himself up to the balcony, which again, him being in sweatpants and cowboy boots just makes this whole picture so good.
He's got a rip in his pants.
Yeah, blood as well. He's just like, I'm here.
I look. He described his coat like Batman's cape.
Yeah. It was so good. And then he was like, Victor was in black slacks, black shirts, black.
Oh, and goopy. That's right. Yeah, because he's still got some of that scorpion filth. I guess it would evaporate into nothingness. So
yeah, he described it like, he said, because he was talking about the smell, because the MT was like, what is this, like, this rank stuff on you? And he's like, you don't want to know. And then he said something like, it'll be gone because it goes back to the ether.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's still goopy. He might be. I don't know. He didn't say how long it takes for it to go back, so he might still be goopy. He's definitely drenched as well because it is raining. So he's looking pretty bad, pretty rough.
Good scene.
It's a really good scene. Yeah, it was really good. And then he described a little bit more visual of
sunrise.
Oh, okay, like the demon. Okay, so he is still goopy then. Yeah. That adds even more. Oh, he must smell rank. Jeez. He's stinky. I have a new mental image of that scene, and it's pretty great. But then we get a more visual description of the ritual.
Activity?
Well, that too. Because you have Victor there with a spoon, which I was like, of course, yeah, he's just holding a spoon. But no, it's like it's sharpened, like the edges are sharpened to a razor. There is a pair of candles. Go ahead.
It reminds me of Robin Hood, the one with Snape in it, or Alan Rickman, and he says that he's gonna cut Robin's heart out with a spoon.
Yep. I remember that.
So good.
I had a different visual image, which doesn't make sense, but in my mind, so if you remember the Chronicles of Riddick when he's in the prison.
Oh, teacup. Yeah.
I'll kill you with my teacup. And then he like smacks it on the rock and it breaks and like makes the edges pointy. I thought of that, but in spoon form.
That's good, yeah.
But and then there's
I really like it in the scene is the rabbit that he's got, with the hair has a little cut on its leg too, or a red mark, because he's got a cut on his leg corresponding to like a voodoo doll kind of scenario. Like, because they're gonna cut the heart out of the rabbit and cut his heart out.
I wonder, you saying that just now, I wonder if that's how he was controlling the scorpion.
Oh, good point.
I didn't think about that until you just said it. And that may be, you may have been right. Maybe he was controlling that scorpion directly. Or, well, kind of indirectly, I guess. But yeah, I do like that because it's also like, I think of White Rabbit as like innocence a little bit. And the fact that it's hairy, like there's a connection there between like innocence and or good.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting. But then there's the black and white candles. There's the recreational activity with the Becketts over in the corner.
I like it. I like Victor's outfit though. At least he's got some style.
It's excuse me.
I mean, he's
very
going to
bad guy.
Bad guy, yeah, just black on black.
Mm-hmm. He's murdered out, so all black.
Yeah. He's going to the funeral.
Would you consider chaotic good? Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, actually, yes. I would consider him chaotic good, and I consider Morgan lawful good.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because they're both good, but they're very, very different.
Very different, yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then like the ritual is coming to its crescendo, and he like lifts the spoon to plunge it into the rabbit, and then Harry's just like, not pocket sand, but empty film canister, and just flings it at him. when I was reading that, I was like, what?
Yeah, me too. I was like, why would you do that? And then he's like, I totally just broke the circle, baby.
I thought it was like imbued and it was like a delayed fireball and it was just like gonna go off in his face or something, but it was just like, no, canister. It's like
canister.
And then
dunk.
And then it like breaks, like you said, breaks the circle, and then the lightning strikes and all hell breaks loose. It just everyone's thrown in random directions. He even described the Beckett's bodies just being flailing and just kind of slamming against the wall. It's easy to keep up with the audio in here. Oh yeah, his Xeno's is probably a less of a delay than mine, so understandable.
But yeah, I do like so because the Becketts are there in their own circle having their activity naked, and they're getting flung around like little rag dolls. The whole house. Oh man, it's just yucky. It's yucky.
It is.
It's
great. Sticky. It's sticky. Like everyone's sticky. Dresden's sticky. They're sticky. It's all over the place.
Sticky. It's goopy.
I appreciate you, Wander. I'm still here. Appreciate it. Naked
That's
floppies.
One of my favorite words. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying, Jay. Appreciate it. Yeah, and then like it kind of settles like chaos a little bit, and Dresden says he opens his eyes to the ceiling just being engulfed in flames, which I was like, that's interesting because outside the house was engulfed in flames in its potential future. I think he said inevitable future, but I was like, well, he was right. And then I don't remember.
So yeah, because he breaks the circle, and then it just explodes, the power, everything goes everywhere. We get the fire on the ceiling, and then
Victor's standing there, but he's like threatening him with something, but I don't remember what it is. Maybe it was with the spoon. Either way, he's like getting ready to cast a spell. Oh, maybe he's trying to cast like fire at him or something. He immediately, Victor tries to like
Well, he does,
attack
because he brings up the
with
wall.
fire. Yes, he brings up the wall to defend himself, and then before Victor can do anything else, Harry rushes him. And I love this part. Harry said the problem with most wizards is that they get too used to thinking in terms of one venue, magic. And then he football charges him. And I was like, that is so good. Like, that just shows such quick thinking in like, Victor would not expect anything like that coming. Because, yes, thank you.
Hits it with a proper shoulder charge this time.
Proper.
So he gets it. Then he goes for the knee. And
Oh, yeah.
respectfully was going for the stomach, but goes and
Missed.
hits him in the junk.
Yeah, and then starts kicking at his head and stuff, and just like absolutely wailing on him. And then he just hears like gunfire, and one of the Beckett, I don't think they said which, but one of the Beckett's just standing there naked with like an Uzi or something. But it jams, of course, because wizard and technology. But he still took a bullet to Harry took a bullet to the leg or the thigh somewhere. Oh no, I think it was actually like the hip. Yeah. And he because he says it's non-responsive at that point. So he crab walks back away from him and hides behind the counter. And then because he has that weird wand. It's like talking about Victor. It's like he said it's almost like bone-like or something like that.
Oh yeah, like a hollowed out bone or something.
Something like that. That's what he threatened him with before he cast the spell.
So that's his focus, essentially.
Exactly, Remy, exactly. Yeah, that's his focus, which now he casts the scorpions out of. And you were saying that, talking about like how Victor might be intelligent in programming the scorpions and all that. Maybe this wand is just something he found. So maybe the power is actually in the wand and it's doing the work, and he's just like, the user. He's essentially the dude holding the gun, but the gun has all the power. Kind of something like that. So maybe Victor isn't as powerful or as smart as a lot of other people.
Yeah,
I think he is.
The whole guns don't work around the wizard, Remy. I agree. I don't think that makes any sense. Like the automatic one, because even in an automatic, there's no electronics or anything. It's all just mechanical movement.
In like
so
super modern,
that, I mean, that's what he said. So yeah.
Yeah, in super modern weaponry, I could see that maybe like super advanced military technology, maybe, but something basic like an Uzi, I don't. I agree.
Any
I don't really
automatic
see how
rifle, yeah, they're all mechanical. Even like firing pin, springs, things like that.
Well, I'm thinking super advanced. Like, there's
Sight,
this is like
I could see that.
This is really advanced, but there's a I don't remember the name. It's like an X something, but it's a gun that shoots a projectile that can explode at a certain set distance. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
That's super advanced though. I could see something like that failing. Hey John, how's it going, dude? Just dropping by. Hope your weekend's doing well. But you're right. For like advanced guns were just sights. Yeah. Maybe if there was like an electrical component to it, because I guess a lot of guns now, more military side, are getting a lot more futuristic, a lot more electrical parts than mechanical. But again, I agree. Something like an Uzi or something basic that someone would have, like a civilian would have, would not do that.
I like that this is we love the details so much. Like, I mean, we're getting a little nitpicky here, but I think this is a pretty valid one.
Yeah, it is nitpicky, but it's still.
Yeah, no, I totally
these are the
agree.
things we
I thought the
discuss.
exact same thing. So, like when Remy said it, I was just like, fine, yeah, I want to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he so going into the next chapter. Well, first off, is there anything else you want to discuss from the previous chapter? Anything you want to add?
Nope, love it. I think we covered it.
Probably not, Looney. Probably not. I'm actually pretty busy today. Maybe later tonight, but probably not after stream. So yeah, rolling, like, I thought it was kind of weird. Well, no, granted, that chapter was pretty long, but ending the chapter there and picking up the next chapter, I was like, why did you do that? Just leave it one big chapter. But I get it, like multiple chapters, whatever. Anyway, we start with Harry being trapped behind the counter. A broom knocks him in the head. We'll get to that in a second.
And they're still shooting at him, yeah.
Yes.
But this time they're using revolvers.
Which I think is very, well, that, but Victor tells them to stop, which I think is really interesting, because why would he want him to stop? If he just wants Harry dead, just keep shooting at him. Like, why would you stop? And I think he stopped because he wants to win.
Exactly,
like,
yeah. He's being a dick again.
Right. He wants to be the one to triumph over Harry. Like, he doesn't want his little minion posse to kill him.
Mr. Cocky Pants here. I'm the wizard.
Right. I want to be the better wizard. Don't know electronics. Love you guys. I'm saying futuristic chemistry, Remy. But you're right. Guns don't have electronics. Unless you're agreeing with me. Never mind. So he has, I think he like lobs some fire at him as well. But at that point, the scorpions were getting, or he starts summoning scorpions from his bone wand, and they start coming towards him. And Dresden's panicking, and again, his quick thinking. And I have it here. Oh, sorry, let me backtrack. Yes, okay. Just want to make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself. So scorpions start coming towards him, and Harry has to end up laughing because he's like, oh, the solution's so simple. And he casts a cleaning spell on the broom to sweep the, very much like Fantasia style in my mind, sweep the scorpions away onto their back and out the window, or down, sorry, not out the window, but off the balcony down to the lower levels of the house. Because I guess it's like, it's a pretty open floor plan. You have like the base floor and then the balcony to the second floor, but it's an interior balcony, because he kept saying balcony. I thought it was like outside, but it's interior. It was kind of weird.
He said that room, when he went into the main room, it went all the way to the roof, was how high the ceiling was. So it was like this really high ceiling. So I imagine you could fit like a couple floors or whatever in there. And so we have a balcony up there. And that's where he popped up with the wind, and was still kind of, then he went behind the counter at this point, and then he does the broom, which I love the detail in the broom that he's like, I know how to cast a cleaning spell, and I got all the dust too, baby. Like,
oh yeah, he did say that. He's like, I'm pretty sure I got all the dirt as well. I love how he's like, and I was forced to do this, like when I was learning magic, and like how I didn't come to this sooner is just, it was kind of funny. Chrissy says like a loft. Yeah, like a loft. That's exactly.
Exactly.
Which I feel like only would piss off Victor more, that his super badass scorpions were defeated by a broom. It's just like, yes, I love this. It's like, it's almost like Victor is being super serious and wants to kill him, and Dresden's just like, child's play. It's like not even taking it serious. I know he is, but it's almost like that. Hey Phoenix, how's this going, dude?
He showed his face.
Getting work done.
He's on face cam.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, hi Megan. Yeah. I show my face occasionally.
He's beautiful.
I can't curse you always with my face, but occasionally you get to see the horror.
No, you are lovely. I love it. I love it. Great beard. Beautiful smile. Great eyes.
This next part is super cool. Well, this whole thing is cool, but so getting frustrated, Victor pulls out his quote-unquote trump card. Actually, no, at this point, it would be his trump card. I didn't write it down. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. But he summons the Toad Demon. He says the Toad Demon's real name 3 times and summons him. And we got the description previous, and he's like this monstrous toad thing that wrecked Dresden's apartment. When the Toad...
And again.
Yeah, right. When he comes into being, the Toad almost like, he looks like a chained up feral dog. Like it wants to devour, wants to just rip apart Victor as well, but it can't, and that kind of shows the power of having hold over something with its true name, which Dresden talked about earlier, which is super cool. I really liked Dresden's fascination. He said, I watched in fascination, stunned. I had seen only one person call a demon before, and I had killed my old master shortly after. And I was like, oh, another crumb. Yes. So that's partly what his old master did. He called a demon, summoned a demon, and something happened that caused Dresden to kill him.
We don't know.
We don't know, but we got another crumb. Yep. We get those crummies, and they're so good.
And then
I wanna
immediately
ask-
Dresden. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you before I get to that. This part is so good that I just want to make sure that you didn't have anything to add before. You go ahead. You know what? You take this next part. It's so good.
I just Dresden, of course, being knowing how magic works, and as he described a few times over the course of the book, that names are very important.
We got it with Toot. We got it with the Toad Demon originally. Like he's gotten through it a couple times. Yeah.
And he's like, man, oh, you're so careless, Victor, Mr. Shadow Man, giving out the name like that. And then he says it, which I presume is pronounced Kalshazak.
Okay.
The way I read it, Kalshazak is our demon. And you say it 3 times. And instead of, I guess what Victor had done was leash it to him under his control when he brought it to the mortal world in a body. He didn't leash it to anything. He just released it, essentially.
Yep. He just released it. I thought it was really interesting too. Again, little detail. He's been calling Victor audibly Vic. He doesn't say his name. He just says Vic, Vic this, Vic that. Except for here, he says, "Oh my God," or sorry, "My God, Victor, I can't get over how clumsy you are." And then he says the demon's name 3 times, which is interesting because it actually like exhausts it. He says it the one time, which it didn't seem like it was too bad. Then to say it the second time, he really had to focus, and he thought about Murphy and like Linda and like everything that he wasn't able to save, and he thought about Susan and them fighting the demon. And then the third time he says his name, he's like, I've beaten this demon before, I can do it again. And it was like that last little push. So it sounds like it takes a lot of probably magical energy as well, but physical energy to do that, to summon it. But you're right, he didn't give it a command, which was we might be skipping a little bit, but it's part of one of the laws of magic. I have it written down here somewhere. Oh, here it is. The 4th law of magic forbids the binding of any being against its will. So I stepped in and cut your control over it and didn't establish any of my own. So I was like, what was the other law we got? We got one of the other ones too, which was
you can't kill anyone with magic.
Right. I don't remember what number that was though.
Unless they're trying to kill you,
Self-defense,
self-defense,
I feel like that would be law number 1, but I feel like it wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't want to look them up because I don't want to spoil any of the other ones, but we'll have to revisit that later. But yeah, with the demon free, like it's looking to Victor, looking to Harry, kind of studying both up, and then it I think even before it can act. Dresden casts, I think it's a wind spell, but essentially he rockets himself towards Victor, and they both slam into the balcony, the interior balcony, and kind of get tangled up. And Victor desperately, first one is freedom of speech. Thank you, Remy. Thank you. Yeah. First law of magic, freedom of speech. Nice. Victor tries to like team up with him. He's like, well, the demon's out of control, we gotta work together. And Victor's like,
man.
Harry's like studies him, and he's like, what? And he says specifically, I couldn't kill him with magic. I didn't want to, and it would only have brought a death sentence on my head in any case. But I could stand by and do nothing. And that's exactly what I did. I smiled at him. closed my eyes and did nothing. And then Victor's like, well, screw you. And then like they kind of wrestle from there. And it was kind of well, not kind of, it was a physical exchange, and he kind of went over how Victor was stouter than him, stronger than him, but again, Harry's wiry. But then the demon intervenes and just chomps down on Victor's collarbone and crunches it, and it's just like, oh shit. He's like, I think, yeah, he hit an artery and is like bleeding out, and they're like hanging. In part of the altercation, Harry went over the side of the balcony and is like hanging there and kind of holding on. I think he's hanging over, then the demon bit him. Either way, but down below, the scorpions are just getting bigger and bigger and are swarming. Oh, and the smoke is like, I think he said like a London fog, like how it's just on the ground, so it's just like you can't see the ground, so you just see like movement of the scorpions, and also their stingers are like sails through the smoke, and they're just like, I think he said 2 of them eviscerated the couch in like a breath, so in a moment. So if he falls, he's definitely gonna die. Yeah, they're super nasty. Oh, he said they're the size of say not German shepherds. I think like a large dog. They're pretty large at this point. Then like, and he's kind of just like almost accepting his death, I guess, at this point. He's just like, I have death above me, I have death below me, I don't have any more resources, so there's nothing I can really do.
Fire burning down.
Right. It's just like, it's kind of inevitable. And then he sees the handcuffs that Murphy handcuffed him to, because he slipped Murphy's hand out, but they're still cuffed to him. So in the last ditch effort, he handcuffs himself to the railing so he doesn't fall, and then he's able to kind of throw Victor's balance off, and both Victor and the demon go fall over the balcony and into the scorpions, which was, it was a, I don't want to say gory scene, but it kind of was.
He kind of got ripped up.
He didn't only get ripped up from the scorpions.
He got repeatedly, and the
that's right. They repeatedly stabbed him, and then the demon just was like, I don't care about these scorpions, I want the human, and started just eating him. And it's just like, oh god. It was fitting, like in the everything that we've learned about Victor and all the terrible stuff that he did is just like, oh yeah. And Harry has the he says in the end, the strong survive and the weak get eaten. I guess Victor had invested in the wrong kind of strength. And it's just kind of one of those like shades on moment afterwards, you know. It was very fitting an end to Victor. Then Harry's just hanging there with still the fire above, death below. And he's not like
getting out of there.
Yeah, he's not getting out of there. And he's like, I hadn't eaten since Friday. Huh. Yeah. It's odd the things you notice in these final moments, they say. And then he looks up and he's like, I'm hallucinating. I see Morgan. How fitting, at right before I die, I see Morgan of all people. And then he blacks out. And then we go into the next chapter. But man, what were you satisfied with that whole encounter? What was your favorite part? It was just so many things happening.
He basically comes in. He doesn't have basically any tools to really cast much magic with.
No.
Comes in, fires off a film canister to start, to break the circle. Then he uses a cleaning spell to clean up the scorpions. And then he just releases the demon on him that he called, and basically just beats him by easy stuff. Just like, this guy's a joke.
I mean, it kind of happened exactly how he said. Like, Victor had all the power. He had all the tools. He had the bronze, the strength. But Dresden was just smarter. He was more well-trained. He thought through all of the scenarios, and I mean, granted, well, once the lightning struck and that was gone, he probably couldn't harness the lightning anymore. Because like how he said earlier that I could just, firestorm the house and everyone would die. But like you said, he used the empty canister. He used a cleaning spell. He used the things that were...
Oh, that's true. He pretty much said he was on empty at that point. Like he had cast basically all the magic he could physically stand to do because his body was just like...
Because he said it was more magic than most wizards could cast in a week. But he was empty, like that was his max for a day. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, so he had been like blasting all that magic, that wind, all that stuff before, and pretty much out.
Also, like, he didn't have to cast the wind spell to Batman himself up to the banister, but he did have to do it. Like, we all know. It was very cool. And then, so into the next chapter, kind of the wrap-up chapter, but Harry wakes up. The best start to a chapter, I think, so far. He woke up with Morgan's face was over mine, and I realized he'd been giving me CPR. Ew. Because he came back to consciousness, coughing and rasping, and his throat was like burning, and then he realized he was giving him CPR. And you were asking Christy earlier if we thought Dresden was chaotic good. This is the part that makes me think yes, and Morgan's lawful good, because Morgan saved him, and Dresden's like, "Why did you save me?" And he's like, "Well, you hadn't broken any laws." Oh, he said, you weren't guilty. You're part of the White Council. Technically, I had an obligation to preserve your life. It was my duty. And Harry was literally just thinking, I could do nothing and this guy will die. Well, he did nothing and the guy died, which isn't technically true. But he was talking about technicalities.
I think Harry might, cause I saw, thinking about it, when I saw Remy, of course, say that he's more neutral good. I can see that because more chaotic thrives on that chaos instead, and he's not necessarily a chaotic guy, so more neutral, because he definitely wouldn't mind doing those chaotic things or the good things, but he's definitely in between.
The only reason I said chaotic good is the scene at the varsity where he confronts Marcone, like he smashes open the door, he launches the jukebox, but so that's kind of chaotic. But even when it got to like the true chaos of like guns blazing, he did nothing. So I could see that. I think you're right. Harry's more neutral good, and Morgan is definitely lawful good. There's no question about that, in my opinion.
Yeah. He's Mr. by the book laws.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Because Harry was just like, you could do nothing. Like you are well in your rights to do nothing. But Morgan's like, no. That's not. I'm obligated to do this.
Yeah, I have to do that. Like,
I have
because
to.
I feel like Morgan straight up was like, I definitely want you dead. Like, I don't care that you didn't do it. I want you dead, but I will obey the laws as they are given out. So he, yeah. Yep.
I'm just gonna pause for here just a second. What? Oh, okay. Actually, one more thing. Harry kind of reveled in the fact that Morgan now has to report everything that happened to the White Council, including admitting that he was wrong about Harry. And Morgan's like, almost like, don't push it, okay? Just hold on, which I kind of loved. But what do you think of Morgan now? So we got the first interaction where, well, a couple first interactions that we don't like. Oh, at least you and I agreed we don't like Morgan. Like he was single-tracked mind, and he was out to get Harry. Has your opinion changed at all of Morgan since this has happened?
No.
Okay.
I don't like him. He's single-minded. I don't like taking the word of the law exactly instead of the spirit of the law, I would say.
Okay. I would have said yes. I like him more because you can depend on him doing the right thing every time.
I mean, I guess
However,
that's true.
like you said, and I'm going to say no. Like, my ultimate opinion is no. I do not change my mind because, like you said earlier, if Morgan wasn't so fixated on Harry being the killer, he should have seen the house. Like, he should have been able to identify the evil that was coming from this house well beforehand. So I think you're absolutely right, and I say no. I still don't like him. He's changed a little bit in my mind, but I still don't like him.
Yeah, maybe he's learned, but I would need to see some more proof, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Tony, how's it going, dude? Absolutely agree. Okay, and then it kind of like, it almost like closes off the rest of like the little loose ends of the story. So I'm just gonna kind of bounce around them and just add anything or stop me if you need or if you want to. The first thing was that the police showed up and still naked, immediately arrested the Becketts on all things nudity, public nudity, and then later they were associated with the three-eye drugs when the police did a further inspection. The Harry says just as well for them that they were in Michigan because they crossed state lines going into Lake Michigan, I guess, wherever this lake house is, because they would not have survived. They wouldn't have come out of the cell alive if they were in Chicago because specifically it's bad business for Johnny Marcone. And I was like, wow, okay. So true though. That's not crossing state lines. I guess it's crossing city lines?
Jurisdiction, basically.
Jurisdictions, jurisdictions. Which is an interesting kind of fact. Then the EMTs or emergency unit, ambulance, whatever. Just to step back a little bit. I love how Morgan just like vanished into the trees, into the shadows as the ambulance was. He's just like, "Oh, you're okay, bye," and then went his way, which seemed very Morgan-like. But anyway, the ambulance took Dresden to the hospital. He was hospitalized for a while. Did he take any other? Oh yeah, he took the bullet. That's right. I was gonna say he has the gash in his leg from the scorpion, but he also has that bullet. I don't think he took any other damage. Not that he needs to.
Aside from the smoke inhalation.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And I'm assuming some of that smoke was from the drug burning too, which probably did a number. Okay, there are state lines. Okay.
Chicago, right. Illinois to Michigan.
And there ends my U.S. geography knowledge. Yeah, mine's not great either. So he was hospitalized. Harry was hospitalized. He was hospitalized so long that he missed the meeting, which granted, the meeting was the next day. So of course he'd be in the hospital for at least 24 hours. But he missed the White Council meeting, and they decided to lift the doom of Damocles, which he says, like, I always consider that a pretentious name. Like halfway through this, is like the Doom of Damocles, which in fact I find very pretentious and kind of hate it. But he joked with Morgan, like he said, like, you telling the council what had actually happened here, do you think they'll lift the doom off me? And he's like, don't bet on it. And they actually did. So he doesn't have more. Well, he says that he doesn't have Morgan watching his every move every time he casts a spell, but he's pretty sure some people are gonna still watch him. Murphy was still in the hospital. She was in critical condition for over 72 hours. Harry sent her flowers. Her room was like right down the hall from his. He sent her flowers, and as soon as she was able to walk, she walked into his room, threw the flowers back in his face, and walked out. And I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. That's Murphy. But they were still. He said they were still friends in a professional sense because right when he got out, she called him for counsel or aid or whatever. But he says we don't joke anymore. Some wounds don't heal very quickly. And that, I mean, that makes sense because of.
Now I want the next book because I want them to get. I want it to be fixed.
I need them to be better.
They should be good.
I agree. I really agree. But it makes sense. He broke her trust in kind of a big way. And, that's gonna take time. More importantly, Bob came back within 24 hours. Harry just chosen to ignore the rumors of a particularly wild party at the University of Chicago, and Bob has wisely not brought it up. I was like, yep, I love you, Bob. God, what else? Oh yeah, Susan from the Arcane paper came by to show him her headliner article, Date with a Demon, about her date with him. I'm guessing she probably left some details out, like her advances in the circle, but hey, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. But they have another date.
And he had his hip cast on, so he wasn't very mobile.
Bob came back. That's right, he did. Yeah, that's right, he did. Bob came back the very next day. Yes. Thank you, Wander.
Bob. Oh.
That ear candy. The earworm. But he said like they had another date and he didn't need a love potion this time. What was and then Harry sent Toot and his friends pizza every day for a week, and then once a week after that. I thought that was a nice touch. It's a song reference. I get it. I appreciate you, Wander. Appreciate you. Mr. got kind of the raw end of the deal and didn't really get anything out of it except a destroyed home. Which he didn't say if he repaired it or if he moved. I guess we'll find out. He didn't say about his office either. The last paragraph was interesting because he said, "And me? What did I get out of it? I'm not really sure. I escaped from something that had been following me for a long time. I'm just not sure what." And then there's the very last sentence, but I'll get to that in a second. What do you think he's talking about here? Because I have a couple ideas and theories, but...
I mean, yeah, it's all just more theories, right? Like, so maybe, I don't know, Morgan's not as on his back, maybe.
Yeah, okay, that's one, yeah.
I don't know if it had anything to do with that assassin thing he's marked with. I doubt it. I think that's still there.
I didn't think about that one. That's probably because that was cast from, I think, I'm only guessing,
it sounds like
his master. Yeah, in his dying breath he cursed him. Maybe, but I agree. I don't think that's it. I agree. I think one possibility is the Doom, because he did actually get rid of the Doom, and that's possible. I'm wondering if it's partly to do with the master, because his master summoned a demon and Victor summoned a demon, so he connected the two. And what we know from the master, he killed his master in self-defense. That's why Harry didn't get sentenced to death. He got the warden instead, Morgan following him. But a lot of the council the council was divided. Some people thought he was in the right, some people thought he was in the wrong. And then with this instance, he had the whole interaction with Victor, and Victor ended up dying kind of the same. Harry was in self-defense, but the outcome was completely different. The White Council wasn't divided. In fact, they got rid of the Doom, and they ruled in his favor that he did do everything he could.
And they gave him honors for
that's right.
Service, yes, upholding the council or whatever.
Yeah, so I think Harry's always been struggling with, did he do the right thing in defending himself against his master? And I think this confirmed it, because he did the same thing. He defended himself, and he didn't use, he didn't break any laws. He didn't use magic or anything. Although I think one difference is, and I think he said it, Harry did defend himself with magic against his master and killed his master with magic. So that's a little bit different, but that's what I think he means.
I think it's good. Yeah, especially from like a psychological standpoint. I could see that for sure. And even if it's a magical standpoint as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of magic being thrown around, so. And technically, Victor did die to the scorpions, which were magic. So, well, he died to the scorpions and the demon, which are both magic. So
his own magic, though. So
it's true. It's true. Wasn't Harry's magic. Harry's magic. And then the last couple sentences that I want to read because they're so great. My name is Harry Blackstone of Copperfield, Dresden. Conjure at your own risk. When things get strange, when what goes bump in the night flicks on the lights, when no one else can help you, give me a call. I'm in the book. And I thought it was such a good ending.
Next book.
Yeah.
Stat, let's go.
Now. I thought it was such a good ending because it started with him being in the phone book and it ends with him being in the phone book. And it was beautiful. I loved it. Love Harry so much. So do I. You know, that's such a good question. Who is your favorite character? Okay. Who's your favorite character and your second favorite character? Because obviously it's Harry.
It's obviously
who's your
Harry,
second?
obviously.
Who's your second favorite character so far in the book?
I think, trying to think of all of them real quick. Should I go over everybody? And
Let's see, we got Susan, Monica, Murphy, Carmike, Morgan, Mac, Mister. I'm gonna throw Mister in there. Bob,
Kent.
Toot.
Got some
kind of
bad guy, like yeah.
Yeah, the rest are
but
bad
yeah,
guys.
It's gonna be Murphy.
Linda,
pretty
Murphy.
clearly,
Okay,
so. I like Murphy a lot.
I do like Murphy a lot.
What's yours?
My real answer, Murphy. My fun answer, Mac.
Mac, yeah. Oh, I love.
I love
too.
Mac. I love Bob
Mickey.
too.
I give him a I love Bob too. Bob is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, Murphy's just so good.
She's good.
I want to say she's relatable, but it might be the fact that she's relatable, or we all know someone who's similar, who's like strong-willed and at least I hope so. Like, you need someone like that in your life that's headstrong. Or maybe he just does such a good job, him being Jim Butcher, does such a good job at describing Murphy that all of us can just picture her so
Thank you,
well.
Christy. Should put a link
Marcone.
for
Ooh.
in the book club.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
Marcone is also a really good choice. Marcone
He
is
was
so interesting.
I really like Marcone. More Marconi.
Does Mac remind you of NPCs you've seen? Yeah, he has. Oh my god, did you base him off of Mac?
Oh,
Okay, I have to share. So the longest D&D campaign I've ever played in, I played a bard. His name was Gregor. Remy was the DM for it. Sure did. That's amazing. Remy was the DM for it. We played for 3 years, if not longer. Probably longer. And there was this tavern. It was a magical tavern that we found out later, but it was a magical tavern that was made by these adventurers just over 3 years. I was gonna say, I thought it was a little longer than 3 years. That was made by these adventurers after they retired, after they were done adventuring. The bartender, the tavern owner, what was his name? I don't remember his name. It's gonna kill me. He's this big burly dude who doesn't say anything. Maurice, that's what it was. Maurice, thank you. I knew it began with an M. He's Mac, essentially. He's the big buff fighter version of Mac. He was so good. I did not know you based him off Mac. That's fantastic. I love it so much.
Love it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, man, what a great book. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Ooh, so Heck has a book, Natural Accord, signed by Jim Butcher.
Ooh,
And he has a pub sign. Oh, okay. That's awesome.
that's very cool.
I love it. All right. Did you have anything else to add? To the
I'm
end of this
excited to start the next
beautiful
book.
Me
Yeah,
too,
no, I
man.
loved it. It was so good. It kept me wanting to read the next chapter every single time. So I've talked about this in the past. There's some books that they switch between characters, and or maybe there's just sections that just don't interest you. So I feel like sometimes I have to like force myself to read through it to get to the parts I enjoy, and I never thought of that at any point in this book. I enjoyed all of it, even the slower parts, and sometimes even the slower parts more so. I thought it was fantastic, and yeah, like you said, I'm ready to read the next book, which we will be starting.
We're starting, yeah. Next week we'll go into the first few chapters of that one.
Yep, we'll do the first 5 chapters. So for now, this time when we started today will be the time that we start going forward, unless something comes up. Because it being Saturday and Xeno having obligations and family.
My son has an appointment occasionally, which it's not fair for me to just say, hey, you need to take him every time, because I set something up when that is. So I like to be a responsible adult as well and take him.
I think everyone's understanding about that. Like, it's, life happens, like plans change. So I do really like Mr. though. I just saw the
Mr's
cat.
awesome. Yeah,
Mr's awesome. He's great. But yeah, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the first book. I'm excited to do many, many more. The final plug, if you'd like to join us and read along, you join our Discord. There is a book club section where you can talk about the book we're reading. Honestly, any books. If you want to just talk about books that you're interested in, suggestions for books for us to read in the future. We have quite a list to get through first, because we're going through all the Dresden books, and then we're going to go through Codex Alara. But
a Warhammer book after.
You want to do a Warhammer?
But
I have one picked out.
We'll
I actually,
exactly.
There's a couple we can do. Those are going to be a little bit. Well, we'll see. I have to do some research, because like there's one, the Horus Heresy book is pretty intense, but yeah, we can do a Warhammer book. I'd love that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Well, that'd be good for us. Yeah.
Are you ending? Right. Yep, we're ending.
We're ending.
Saying adieu.
We have been your hosts. I'm Xeno.
I'm Wolfman Mozzie.
And thanks so much, guys. We will catch you next week, we hope.
You bet. Have a wonderful weekend.
See ya.
Bye.